God, a lovely smell of banana bread. That's the lockdown smell, isn't it? Banana bread. Bread. Baking. Hi guys, so welcome back to the Book Nook. I'm Liv. That's my name on my channel. Not made a video in a little while, but oh well, shit happens. And I thought today I would make a video, obviously, because that's what's happening. Why can't I talk today? You can tell I'm out of practice. I had thought I'd do a little haul video, but then I realised, you know what, I haven't done a wrap up in yonks. How long would a yonk be as a unit of time, do we think? I think a yonk is a cute name for a fortnight. So yonks is more than one fortnight. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so I realised I hadn't done a wrap up. What with doing the sort of Friday Fantasy Feast, which was essentially kind of wrapping up my fantasy reading, and I think I did a TBR wrap up. I haven't done a bit of a general reading wrap up, so I thought that's what I would do today. I don't think I'm going to do these in the order that I wrap them up because I can't totally remember, and time is immaterial and these things don't matter. The books are what's important, not when I read them, so I'm just gonna dig in. First one I'm going to mention is Good Bones by Margaret Atwood. This is one that I started reading on a cozy reading night and then I put it down, and I've been reading the one or two of the little short stories every now and again. I was really wanting to love this one because I loved Margaret Atwood's The Tent, which is quite similar in that it's a volume, both The Tent and this one are a volume of sort of little really short stories, some of them only, you know, a page, 2 pages. I think the longest one is something like 7 pages, and short little snippets, and they're the weirder Margaret Atwood stuff. So I was really hoping that I would love this one as much as I loved The Tent, but I didn't. Don't get me wrong, still enjoyed it. Just didn't super love it, which was a bit of a shame. And I tell you, it kind of made me worry if I read The Tent again, would I still love that as much as I did? So part of me wants to immediately read it again, and part of me wants to never read it again and just preserve that joy of how I felt when I first read it. Rereads, that's a whole other subject, isn't it? Then, a little while ago, I spent the day in the garden reading Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. This is one that I was never really particularly bothered about reading, but then hearing Alice Slater and Bethany Rutter at What Page Pod talk about this one a lot, knowing how much Alice loved this one, and I was just one day really in the mood for something thrillery and totally different, so I thought, sod it, I'm going to pick it up. I've never watched the film either. And it's kind of made me want to watch the film, but also I'm a total wuss, and I think the film will scare me. But yeah, found this one really good, really interesting, gripping. Actually, one of the things I was most surprised about was that it didn't feel particularly dated. I was kind of expecting it to feel very, like, 70s, 80s or whenever it's set, but it kind of didn't. And I think by avoiding talking about too many specific sort of technological things that would place something in time, yeah. So yeah, Silence of the Lambs, can recommend that one. I am kind of intrigued and would kind of like to read the other ones, but also at the same time, not sure. Next up is a couple of graphic novels. I don't think I've hauled these for, but who cares? First up is Lumberjanes number 12, Jackalope Springs Eternal, Jumberlanes. Lumberjanes is just a sort of comfort read graphic novel thing for me. They are strong, awesome, well-rounded female characters, and they're just really heartwarming. It's got a fantastical element in there, and they are just something that, yeah, if I'm not sort of sure what to read or just want something that's not going to take me very long but it's just going to leave me with a warm and cosy feeling, this is my go-to. On that note though, I do feel, I don't know whether it's because I'm more familiar with the kind of formula of each issue, but this one just felt a little more tired to me than some of the others. I still really enjoyed it, and as I say, comfort read galore. But yeah, I don't know whether it's because I've read 12 volumes of these now and it doesn't sort of reinvent the wheel each issue. I was going to say episode, issue. That it just felt a little bit kind of, okay, yeah, alright, I know where I'm going. On a similar note with the comfort read kind of angle, I also read Giant Days, Volume 12. It was a really pleasing coincidence that Volume 12 of both of these series are out at the same time. I don't know why, but that really pleases me. Giant Days is a series that I know I've mentioned before, but I don't know how much I've mentioned it before. It follows 3 students at uni, and I think we're on the 3rd year now, aren't we? I kind of lose track of what year we're in, but it's just so fun. It reminds me a lot of uni, but it also kind of is like the uni I didn't have, the uni experience I didn't have in some ways as well. But again, the characters are just, I love all 3 of the main characters, Esther, Susan and Daisy, and I just, yeah, there's something in this for everyone, and this is, I think Giant Days is probably my favourite graphic novels. Again, to have a caveat to that as well though, one element I find, particularly with Giant Days, more so than with any other graphic novels I've read, particularly when it's issues like this that of course collect individual comics, I do notice the kind of disjoint between each issue of the comic within each issue, if that makes sense. And sometimes it feels like the last couple of pages of the individual comic kind of come out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, is this something different? I've noticed it in the last couple of collected issues of Giant Days, but again, not something that stops me reading them, it's just something that I've noted in the last couple. Then another two, which you know I've been talking about, maybe I did haul these, I can't remember. Paper Girls 5 and 6, so I have now finished reading Paper Girls, because Paper Girls only went up to 6. I'm not holding up two graphic novels, it hurts my elbow. I banged it the other day. Funny bone, not so funny. Hurts. So yeah, Paper Girls I enjoyed. I think I definitely enjoyed 1, 2, 3, 4 more than 5 and 6, which is a shame when 5 and 6 are the last two, when you don't enjoy them as much as the first lot. I don't know, it's that difficult ending thing. But yeah, the ending I was kind of like, okay. I don't know, I was kind of expecting something more, slightly disappointed, but yeah, still really enjoyed them. The art in them is gorgeous, the characters are pretty cool, it's got that 80s vibe. Stranger Things, I don't know, I've not watched it, but I've heard that they're akin to one another. Having read all 6 of them, you know, reread some and read these, I'm clearer on the story. As I say, when I'd read 1 and 2 and then left it a while and read 3 and 4, I had no idea what was going on, because it's all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff, and who can keep track of that, like, with years in between. But yeah, ending slightly underwhelming, I would say. Why is there a bit of red onion on the floor? It's not even actual onion, it's the papery crap on the outside. Then on my Kindle, shifty over, book there, I read Sarah Vaughan's Little Disasters. Now Sarah Vaughan's Anatomy of a Scandal I read a while ago, also did, oh that was my ankle, also did an event with her and Erin Kelly when back in my bookshop days, which was really fun. Sarah Vaughan, very lovely to talk to. So this is her second, well no, it's not her second novel, she's written loads of novels, but she kind of seemed to have like a reboot, like a genre reboot, and these are now sort of crimey thriller based ones. And Little Disasters is essentially about a kid who is injured and the kind of investigation into how the kid was injured. And it's a bit dark in places. I enjoyed it, if enjoyed's the right word, with a book about a kid being injured and the kind of authority of adults and the abuse of that authority in lots of ways. Yeah, solidly written. Yeah, I always feel a bit mean when I don't have much more to say about thrillers. I know when I love a good thriller, I can rave about it and talk about it a lot. So when I don't say much, doesn't mean that I didn't like it. Like, you'd know if I didn't like a book. Well, yeah, no, mostly you would. But it's just, for me, when a thriller's kind of solid enough and I enjoyed it and, like, I'd recommend it, then I kind of get stuck in that middle ground of, like, yeah, it's good. So, yeah, it's good. Then another book that I read that I really, really, really wanted to love, to absolutely adore. And lots of people have absolutely loved it and talked about it, and I was really excited about it. But I didn't totally fall head over heels with it. Like, I liked it, and I could see the merits. It's The Bass Rock by Evie Wyld. Now, as I say, I wanted to love this one. I loved All the Birds Are Singing. I loved Everything's Teeth. I haven't read After the Fire, A Still Small Voice? I've got that on my shelf. I haven't read that one yet, but yeah, I loved All the Birds Are Singing. I'd heard such good things about The Bass Rock that I think it possibly fell victim to expectation. You've got 3 different storylines, and I enjoyed the structure, which I think was something Simon had mentioned, where it sort of starts with 1, then goes to 2, then goes to 3, then goes back to 2, then back to 1, and this kind of rise and fall structure that I really enjoyed. But there were parts of it that I wasn't so keen on. It felt like a novel that was trying to do quite a few things and didn't quite land on any of those things entirely, so kind of left me trying to connect all the elements myself, which in itself, not a problem if a novel does it well, where it's like, okay, here are the elements, you put them together, but it felt like that in a maybe needed another edit kind of way for me, personally. The sort of interstitial bits between each chapter, have I used that word right? I don't know. The little bits in between each chapter that were not the main story, but were individual instances of abuse towards women, they took me a little while to twig, because I thought they were another perspective coming in, or that they were one of the 3 perspectives that we were following, but not, and maybe they were, or maybe they were just kind of examples of abuse towards women, but it kind of confused me a bit, and that kind of felt like another novel. I don't know. And it's not that I thought it was without merit, or unreadable, or unrecommendable. None of those things. I think it was very readable, very with merit, and very recommendable. But it just didn't quite land for me. Which, as I say, is a shame, because I really wanted that to go onto like one of my books of the year, books of all time type scenario. But hey, you win some, you lose some. The last week or so, I went on a bit of a Greek kick, unexpectedly. I was in the mood for a new book, looked on my shelves, and I picked up Circe, which I've been meaning to read for a while. My best mate loved Song of Achilles and had been telling me about that one, and also really loved Circe, and when this came out in hardback she was raving, she was telling me, Livy, read it now, read it now, read it now. And I just never got round to it. But yeah, something grabbed me, I was in the mood for it. And I really, really enjoyed this one. Pretty much everything that everyone said about this one, I'm in tune with now. I would say though, it took me a little while to land on that opinion of it. It was a weird one where, when I was reading it, I was like, this is beautifully written. Yes. I was a bit uncomfortable the first half of the book, and I know that's kind of intentional, the way Circe is treated and all of this. I know that's intentional, but it got to a point where I was kind of like, you know, is this going to kind of cheer up a little bit? Is there going to be any kind of for this Circe? So it took me a little while, and even sort of as I was going on along, I was kind of like, yeah, she's pretty badass, like this is pretty cool. All the elements were stacking up. And then in the last few pages, it all kind of just clicked for me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I get it. And I can't think of a book I've read in a long time that's done that, that's kind of been so-so most of the way through until suddenly all the elements click into place and it just, whoosh, love it. There we go. That's that one. You can tell when I just run out of words and out of coherence. I just go, yep, there's that one. So after reading Circe by Madeline Miller, I told my best friend how I'd finally read that one and really enjoyed it, and she was like, okay, you're borrowing my copy of Song of Achilles if you haven't got it, and you're reading it. And I didn't have it, and I was dropping off some shopping with her that day, so we did a little socially distant swap, shopping for books. So she lent me her copy of Song of Achilles, which I'm going to have to get my own copy of now, because I feel like this one will be a reread. I fucking loved this. I was not expecting to so much, but I just adored it. There's not a huge amount I'm going to say about this other than like the last few pages broke me. Well, the last few chapters actually, but that last page, I don't shed actual bona fide tears at many books. I kind of get like weepy and really emotional at a fair few books, but I don't actually cry. Actual catch 'em in your hands tears, like that's a thing you do with tears, at many books. But this one, I did. It's so, so lovely. On the other hand, in a similar vein, I then followed it up with The Silence of the Girls. Now both of these concern Achilles and Patroclus. I've probably said that wrong. And I think my mistake and the problem with my reception of this book is that I read this one immediately after the emotion and loveliness of this one, I think. But I didn't love this one. Personally found the writing a bit dry. I'm allowed to say that. I'm convincing myself. Found the writing a bit dry, and although I know, and this is the thing, I mean, I'm not a Greek expert, obviously, but I do know that obviously a lot of Greek history of the myth and what have you that these concern themselves with is probably, this one's probably more accurate. Brutal, unfair to women, all of that. And I think there is merit in rendering one of these tales more potentially faithfully and giving the characters in these stories that don't often have those voices a voice, and that's the point of this one. But as I say, I just come off the back of this one, which is kind of like a retelling of a Greek story and posing it as a love story, and the characters are just so kind of wholesome and vital and real. And then I went to this one, which was the same story and everyone's a bastard, and I was kind of like, oh, I want this Achilles and Patroclus, I don't, So I think, in fairness, I can't really give a proper opinion of this one, because I know that my opinion of this one was coloured by having literally just finished this one. It's all Greek to me. My final Greek kick book was House of Names by Colm Tóibín, and again, this was another one my friend really liked, and I thought, I'm on this Greek kick, let's give it a go. And actually, as I'm talking about this, I realise now, kind of forgot what House of Names is about already, and I only finished it a few days ago. Okay, no, I remember now, Clytemnestra and Agamemnon and the Electra and Orestes? So House of Names is about Agamemnon's return. Agamemnon, you can tell I don't, Agamemnon? That dude from the Odyssey. His return and what was happening back in his home when he was away, and after him sacrificing his daughter for a fair wind and all of this. And yeah, I just found it kind of, I don't know, again, a bit dry, a little bit meh, which was a shame. I think I came off that high of it was kind of like Circe, yes, enjoying it, Song of Achilles, yes, oh, Silence of the Girls and House of Names, okay. Silence of the Girls, whole different take on the same characters, and House of Names, some of the same characters, wasn't as big a deal because the crossover wasn't there, but yeah, I will confess that that's on me. Reading them so close after each other will have impacted my take on those books because of the overlaps and the different styles. But there we have it. Absolutely adored Song of Achilles. Broke me. Beautiful. Will read it again. Circe. Really enjoyed. Probably not one I'll read again, but really enjoyed. Silence of the Girls and House of Names. Like, I get it, but ain't for me. I thought I was going to be quicker talking about these than I actually were, but than I actually were. Ooh, me Devon's on show. So that's my wrap-up of what I have read since I last did a wrap-up, excluding the Ursula Le Guin Earthsea cycle, which I'll link down below to the Friday Fantasy Feast, in which that is mentioned. You know what, I think I am going to put this in a wrap-up because I think I am done with it. I've been reading Ponty by Charlene Teo, and this is one that, again, I really wanted to love because people who I really respect really enjoyed this one, so I thought it was going to be for me, but I'm less than halfway, maybe a third of the way through, and it's just not doing it for me. And as much as part of me wants to kind of give it a bit more of a chance, I'm just not digging it. I may give it one more shot in bed tonight. If nothing else, that will prolong the inevitability of spending another 3 hours choosing what I'm going to read next. Because that's where I'm at the moment. Because Ponty's not been totally landing and I've not been totally digging it, I've not been in a particularly reading headspace, or maybe it's the other way around. One feeds the other with one hand giveth, and who knows. Really sure what to read next. I'm not sure whether, like, I'm done with the Greeks for now. I'm done with them for a good long while. Part of me wants to go fantasy again, but then also I've got some other books that I've been eyeing up, so we shall see what I read next. I'm tempted to do some kind of TBRs. I never, other than the sort of cozy reading night and event things, I never really do non-event specific TBRs because, hello, this is all TBR. We shall see, but that's for another day. I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're all keeping safe. I'm not going to mention the outside world stuff. Rage. Hope you're all keeping safe and well and looking after yourselves, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. This is going to be one of those thumbnails where I drop everything 17 times, isn't it? Hey, there we go. Why have I never done that before? Why have I never put them on my bloody shoulder? I'm such an idiot.